We're going to go through solving simple equations. Again, this time we're going to focus more on the application of multiplication and division. So in this question here, it says 3y. In other words, what does that mean when I have 3 attached to a variable y? What operation is between them? Multiplication. That's right. This says 3 times y is equal to 18. Okay? So 3 times y is equal to 18 in this question. And because my you know what, don't worry, it'll be fine. In order to do this, when we're multiplying and dividing, it's a little different than adding and subtracting when we're trying to balance both sides of the equation. Normally, we try to create a 0 when we're adding and subtraction. When we're dividing and multiplying, we're actually trying to create the value of 1. Okay? So because this says multiplication, what would be the opposite operation of multiplication? Division. So in order to isolate for y and just y, not 3y, we need to divide by the value of what? 3. Okay? We're trying to eliminate. We always use the absolute value of the number. The value of that number is what we move. It's the operation that changes every time. So because this says 3 times y, we need to divide by 3. And whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. Remember, I know I've written it as fractions, but this means division. So, because we talked about simplifying exponents, okay, if I was to simplify this coefficient, what is 3 divided by 3? 1. So we now have 1y is equal to, what is 18 divided by 3? 6. Okay. Now, what's 1 times y? 1y or just y? I don't need to actually write that in 1 times a number, because 1 times any number is still that number. So this is y is equal to 6. Let's use a scale to see if we can help make sense of what we've done. I've now represented all of our numbers with our algebra tiles. So this says x, the other says y. They both represent an unknown number. Okay, we can technically use whatever variable we like for this. And it said that there were 3 of them in the original question. So I've put 3 on one side of the scale, and those 3 variables are equal to a total of 18. Okay? Now, the goal is to figure out what one of them is equal to. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to separate them. And it turns out, I'm not sure what I have there. Okay? The last one. Great. I can pull them apart and make them into groups of what? Or how many different groups can I make out of this? 3. So the idea here is I want to take these ones and split them into 3 different groups. Now I've put this in a way that I can very easily see that I can split this into 3 different groups. You might have to actually manipulate the numbers and move it around. And I've split them so that I have 1, 2, 3 groups. Okay? So with this idea, what that means is this x is equal to the first group. This x is equal to the second group. And this x is equal to the third group. They're all equal to the same amount. What is one of these x's, or in this case y, what is one of them equal to? 6. That's right. So that's the visual explanation to this question. Okay? Now, in the second example, we're going to go through 2 methods again, just like we did before. In this method, I have n. And what operation is this fraction? Divided by. Okay? This means divided by. So n divided by 3. Okay? In order to create a 1, what's the opposite operation of division? Multiplication. So I need to multiply both sides of the equation by 3. Now when we do this, what is n times 3? Yeah, 3n. We usually just write it different. Okay, so 3n divided by 3 is equal to negative 4 times 3? Negative 12. Excellent. Okay. Now these 3's here, when I simplify, what is 3 divided by 3? 1n, right? But just n is the idea. And we don't need to write the 1n like we talked about before, because 1 times anything is just that value, so n is equal to negative 12. So let's talk about actually moving things left and right. This is a balanced method. Let's do the exact same question. N divided by 3 is equal to negative 4. Let's just say this says division. So I want to move this 3 to the other side. When I move it, what operation do I have to use? multiplication. So that leaves me with, because I'm moving the 3, n is the only thing left on the left side, is equal to negative 4 times 3. N is then equal to negative 12. So, very similar, if you guys noticed. In this equation, we had to do a little more work. We had to simplify this into a 1, and then the 1 kind of disappeared. But really, all we did is we took this 3, and we multiplied it on the right side of the equation. The exact same idea, and we got negative 12. This one tends to be a little quicker. So let's go through the last one doing the same thing. I have negative v here. Negative v. What coefficient is actually there? 1. So it actually says negative 1v. Okay, keep that in mind. Is equal to 9. When I write negative 1v, what operation is that? Yeah, I'm multiplying negative 1 times v. So in order to move it to the other side, what do I have to do? That's right, I have to divide. So we'll be left with v on this side. Whole idea is to isolate v, just like we did before. So we're isolating v. V will be the only thing left. And we'll take 9 and we'll divide it by negative 1. V is equal to, what is 9 divided by negative 1? Negative 9, right? There you go. V is equal to negative 9.